Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our first webinar for LCOY Botswana 2024. As you might be aware, today's webinar is titled Driving Narratives. And so we're hoping to today get an understanding of what LCOY is, why we're doing LCOY, and I think particular to today, why it's important for children and youth to drive narratives on climate governance. I think without any further ado, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all and welcome Ms. Tracy Sunny, the National Coordinator at the Botswana Climate Change Network, to open our webinar and welcome all participants to the webinar. Tracy, over to you.
Okay, there's a bit of light there. Okay, thank you very much, Tsepi. And first, let me recognize the presence of our partners, UNICEF, our partners, Sustain, and also Global Shapers. And then also, I've seen in our agenda, we have notable presenters, Barathalerwa and others. I'll recognize your presence. The webinar for today, it's specifically looking at, it's our first, this will be our first initiative, our first efforts towards, it's a continuous thing actually, building the momentum towards youth and children engagement in climate change agenda. It is important to note that children and youth, they are important stakeholders in the move towards sustainable development. And specifically, now looking at the Paris Agreement, achieving emissions. And I'll say that because there are different avenues. We are looking at green economy. We are looking at building youth that will, in the future, build or drive efforts behind a sustainable futures, sustainable green economies. So we should note that since COP11 in Montreal, Canada, this was mostly the first, I would say, one of the first COPs where youth actively engaged or participated in climate change discourse, where they were recognized, their efforts were recognized, and they were given a space to voice out their concerns, to engage effectively. And this also at the same time seeing recognizing their importance in driving climate policy. And then also looking at the growing response or the growing number of youth who are engaging in the intergovernmental climate change processes. The UNFCCC actually in 2009 extended a constituency status to youth groups, allowing them to receive official information, participate in meetings, and even request for slots and also support for conferences. So you realize that this was where now we see youth effectively engaging more in the climate discourse. And then this building towards the Paris Agreement, there was evidence actually, even for those youth, I think, who are here, who participated in the Paris Agreement, there was evidence of youth stepping up efforts and being on the forefront, actually. We know we have notable youth, we have notable children who have been participating. Even when you go to COPs, they are participating and they are also being accredited. They have observer status. They do attend, different ages, youth and children of different ages. So we have seen, this is the sort of the build-up and, the build-up of youth, of children engagement over the years. Now here we are for Botswana we are saying we shouldn't be left behind. We recognize the importance of youth. And this is not the first gathering that we have had, or the first initiative towards ensuring that youth voices are heard. We actually have been doing this over the past years, since especially after Paris Agreement. We have had youth beatles, we have on climate change, youth conferences, where we have been bringing youth together, trying to mainstream, trying to engage them in climate change discourse. And it is our aim to see youth, having, seeing youth having meaningful participation. And it doesn't mean only attending COPs, but rather, coming up with, like for today, we are looking at narratives, building up narratives that can influence our policy, and that can have something tangible that we can, really point out to say we have made a change, we have brought change, and we are going to see change in the future. So this webinar, I would like us to engage, to advise, and to pave the way for meaningful participation of the youth. And with us knowing that these are the future generation, this is the future generation, and these are the people that are going to drive these policies that we are currently working on, and also policies later in the future. And I would like to welcome everyone again, and I would like to just say to everyone, feel free, please engage, make sure that, from here we achieve the objectives that we would want to achieve, particularly looking at, the build up towards COP, particularly the build up to the different activities that are going to happen over the next weeks up to COP, and also later on after COP, later on through different implementation avenues, initiatives that will come on. So let us feel free to engage. Let it not be only the speakers, the panelists, but also the participants. Please feel free to engage in the conversation. Just to say back to you, Tepi, I welcome everyone, and I wish you all good deliberations. Back to you, Tepi.
Thank you very much. That was Tracy Sunny, the National Coordinator at the Botswana Climate Change Network, for those opening. I think apart from that, let us also take the conversation out to social media using the hashtag LCOY Botswana 2024 or LCOY Botswana 24, and carry the conversation outside to other people that might not be able to join the webinar today. Just a reminder also, this is a recorded session. And so please, if you do have any objections to recording, do let us know directly. If not, we will continue with the recording. The recording will be made available on our YouTube channels at Sustain 267, Botswana Climate Change Network, as well as the Global Shapers media pages as well. If you do want access to last year's webinar recordings for our LCOY sessions, they will be shared in the chat room as well. I think Tech will share those in the chat room. I think with that, we will be moving on to the next segment, introducing Yango and LCOY, and just really giving an overview of Yango and LCOY and why we're really doing this at the end of the day. I think in Botswana, as in many parts of the world, we've felt the impact of climate change, and they're becoming more apparent. From water scarcity to degradation of our landscapes. But there's one undeniable fact that young people and children need to be at the heart of the solutions that we create at a national level. And so our voices, ideas, and actions are key to shaping our future, and a future that is sustainable and a future that is just. And that's why we're here today. We're here to ignite youth and children's participation in climate governance in Botswana. We've seen the power of young people and youth movements across the world, across different development issues. But we think now it's time for us here in Botswana to build our own platform to change. And so, to understand how we can be more involved in climate governance, I'll begin by explaining the UNFCCC, right? The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now, the UNFCCC is a global treaty, it's a global agreement that's designed to tackle climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and adapting to all the impacts of climate change. And so, since its creation in 1992, it has united governments globally. It has united civil society organizations, as well as businesses across the world in climate negotiations, and most notably at the annual Conference of Parties, or the COP meetings. The next COP meeting, which will be the 29th Conference of Parties, will be held in Azerbaijan actually next month. And so through the UNFCCC, countries have made landmark agreements like the Paris Agreement, which aims to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius. But for these agreements to be successful, it's important that every segment of society, including young people, including youth and children, are involved. And that is where platforms like Yango come in. So what is Yango? Yango is the official youth constituency of the UNFCCC. As I had mentioned earlier, the UNFCCC is a convening, or is an agreement that different countries across the world are party to. Now, as part of the UNFCCC, there's different constituencies that are non-state actors, and some of those are youth. And so Yango is the official youth constituency to this agreement that was formed to ensure that children and young people have a say in climate decision-making. And so Yango is not just a symbolic space for youth participation. It's an influential network of young people from over 200 organizations worldwide, all working to influence global climate policies. What makes Yango unique is that it brings young people directly into the heart of global climate governance. Through Yango, youth representatives participate in climate negotiations, and they contribute to policy discussions and advocate for stronger, more ambitious climate actions. And these are the spaces where our generation can shape decisions that impact our future. Botswana's young people can look to Yango as a model for how youth can effectively drive climate solutions, that we have a voice and we have a right to use it to protect our future. And so I think I'd want to also take this opportunity to motivate and to really drive Botswana children and youth to join Yango. There's currently a call for membership for individuals, young climate activists, innovators, to be members to Yango. I think we will also share the link to the Yango website for those interested in joining this global movement of young people. We will share that later in the chat box. I think, Tech, if you're able to, please feel free to share. Now, it's not just about youth participation in climate governance is not just about, global conversations. While platforms like Yango do enable youth participation at the international level, it's also important that we focus on local issues. That is why the local conferences of youth are so important, the LCOYs. Now, LCOYs are national gatherings where young people can discuss climate issues specific to their country, specific to their communities. They provide an opportunity for youth to draft climate policies that are directly relevant to our local contexts. For example, here in Botswana, we are hosting our LCOY on the 23rd and 24th of October. And we hope this will address critical issues around issues that are pertinent to Botswana, such as desertification, water scarcity, biodiversity conservation, and others, which are unique challenges to Botswana that we face due to climate change. The Botswana Local Conference of Youth, which we are launching today, is a significant milestone. It is our space to bring our voices together and create climate solutions that work for us. The outcomes of our discussions here can be shared globally, ensuring that Botswana's youth are part of the global climate dialogue. And so LCOYs also build the capacity of young people to advocate for change. They give us the tools, the platform, and the network to push for meaningful climate action at local and national levels. Through LCOYs, we can influence national policies that reflect our needs, ensuring that Botswana's climate strategies are inclusive of youth voices. And so I urge you all who are here and all who will be watching this webinar much, much later, all young people, children, parents, educators, and community leaders, let's seize this moment and let's take full advantage of these platforms that are available to us, platforms like Yango, platforms like the Botswana LCOY, to drive meaningful change. Climate governance isn't just for governments, it's for all of us, especially the youth who will inherit this planet. We have ideas, we have the energy and the will to lead Botswana towards a sustainable future. So we need to step up and create a generation that transforms narratives into action and action into lasting change.